Hey, shalom, shalom. I have the perfect. First of all, hold up. I don't want to say my idea, but still, all esteem to the Most High Yahuwah through His begotten Son Yahusha. All esteem to Yahweh Shah. All esteem to Yahweh through His begotten Son Yahweh Shah. I was just excited. Look. We supposed to walk by faith and not by sight, right? And I'm gonna let you know right now, sight is the enemy of faith. Okay. Now watch this. Issa is a name that the Muslim world or the Arabic people call Jesus Christ, known as Yahusha or Yahweh Shah, or some people say Yeshua, right? There are people who would say his name is Yahoshua, his name is Yahusha, Yahweh Shah, Yeshua, Yashia, and all be against the name Issa, right? Okay, now this is what I call or understand faith is. I'm gonna tell you right now before explaining anything. Yasha and Issa is the same thing. It's the same word. They look the same. They look different, but it's the same exact thing. That's faith if you believe me. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're saying this is not true, now you need sight. You know what I'm saying? I have to be able to make you see. But, you know, what does Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 say? I'm going to let you meditate on that. I just want some believers to come before I explain it. Yasha and Issa is the same thing. Okay? But someone has told you that Issa, that's them people over there. And Yasha, that's us only. You know what I'm saying? Don't deal with them people over there because they say Issa. Okay? Stay over here with the Yasha. Okay? Hebrews chapter 11. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So you hope that even if you have faith, someone is hoping, man, I hope he can really explain how Yasha and Issa is the same thing. Even though they look they look different. He sound crazy maybe, but Yasha and Issa is the same thing. Okay. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So you hope I can explain this. Now look at this. The evidence of things not seen. Okay. You haven't seen yet how Yasha and Issa is the same, but when the evidence presents itself, right? The evidence, right? It's the evidence of things not seen. Okay? Now, for those who don't know Hebrew, I'm going to do it the most simplest way that I can show you for those who don't know Hebrew. Then I'm going to go into the Hebrew, okay? So, Isaiah. Alright, how do you say Isaiah in Hebrew? Yasha, Yahu. Now, what part, Isaiah is a translation from Yasha, Yahu. What part represents the Yasha in Isaiah and what part represents the Yah? Now, we know that Israel, sometimes people say Yisrael. Or in the ancient Hebrew, they'll say Yasha'al. So that I becomes a Y. And it's actually spelled different. How do you know that Yasha'al is talking about Israel? Aren't those written two different ways? But it's talking about the same nation of people? Alright, so Issa is Yasha. Yasha is Issa. Issa is Yasha, okay? So we spit a line right here. Bam. This Issa represents salvation. It represents the Yasha, translated. Okay? Now, the Yud, I'm sorry to go into Hebrew, my bad. The Y and the I is interchangeable in the Hebrew. Or they make the same sound. So this Y, this I should actually be a Y. Which we see the Yah come back. Right? Just like it's right here. And we know that Yahu represents Yahuwah. See that? So Issa is Yasha. Now, how is this so? Okay? And Isaiah's name means the Father's salvation. And we know that the Mashiach's name They say it's similar to Joshua, which also has the root word of Yasha in it, which also means Yahuwah's salvation. Yahusha the Shah represents the Yasha, and the Yahu represents the Yahuwah. Okay? So now, how can I go from the Hebrew and write out both Yasha and Issa from the same exact word? Alright? We got a Yud, Shin, Ayin. Now we have a vowel point issue, because just like you see in the name Yasha'al, all the vowel points are A's. But then in the name Israel, we got more than just A's. We're dealing with a vowel point system that deals with A, E, O, U, just like in Spanish. Okay, so we got a Yud, which it could be a Y. Let's get that dividing line again, since it's so different, right? So we got the Y or I. Then the vowel points was an A in ancient Hebrew. Then we got a Shin, which can be a dot over here. In the modern Hebrew, it's a SH. But if the dot is over here, I should have never did that with my hand. If the dot is over here, it can be an S. Alright? Then this vowel point right here, the Ayin, is a silent letter. You got the Aleph that's silent and the Ayin that's silent in Hebrew. It does not get its vowel point until you put a vowel in it. So with a vowel point of an A, you see, Issa, Yasha coming from the same exact thing in Hebrew. Okay? But someone plays on someone's intelligence and says, hey, the name Yasha is what it really comes from. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they're talking about when they say Issa, or we gotta be careful and all of this stuff, or we gotta watch us saying the name Issa, okay? But it's still deriving from the same, you know what I'm saying? So people are using dialect to start wars. People are using dialect to cause division. But when you really get to the base root of the dialect, it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the name Elohim for example. Alright, I'm going to show you this right here. This is going to ruffle somebody's feathers, but I apologize. I got to walk in spirit and truth. If you don't want me walking in spirit and truth, don't read John chapter 4, verse 21 through 24. You know what I'm saying? Because he's looking for people to worship in spirit and truth. So don't tell me to worship in spirit and truth, read that scripture, and then go against me and say, hey, you're lying because that's not true. It's the truth, okay? It's just that simple, all right? Spirit and truth. Don't bring me to church. Don't sit me down in no pew since I was yay high as a child talking about I will not fall away from the word and, teach me his ways and all of that. And then when I'm coming back and I'm showing you stuff, you reject me just like the Messiah, all right? Don't do that to me, you know what I'm saying? Elohim. Just had to get a little frustration off. It's all good. Just had to tell you the truth. All right, Elohim. Elohim. Matter of fact, I done gave the answer away. Hold on. Now, Elohim and God look two different ways, but everybody knows God is Elohim and Elohim is God. But watch this. The Arabic people say Allah is the name for God. Now, this word right here is a transliteration or a title that's represented for the Elohim of the Hebrews, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Bible. This is supposed to be replacing what's there in the Hebrew. Okay? Watch this. So we got a Aleph, all right? Silent letter, vowel point E. All right? Lamed, Then the Vav, depending on a Vav by itself, let's say it's a V. You got a Vav with a dot over it, it's an O. And then a Vav with a dot on the side is a U. Alright, so Vav by itself, V. Vav with a dot above it is an O, and a Vav with a dot on the side of it is a U. Alright? Just trying to minister to y'all today. Alright? So we got E, L, then, so the Vav, the dot will be on top. So we got an O, the Hey, that H, Hey, that Lamed, just so you might not understand, that L, okay? H, then there'll be a dot right here connected with the Yud, just like you see in the name Israel. If you go on Google and you look at the vowel points of Israel, there's one dot underneath the Yud. And that one dot, like I am one person, I am I, okay? So that one dot connected with the Yud makes a long I, because you say Elohim, alright? It has a long eem to it, right? So Elohim. And the Mem, M, bam, Elohim, right? So these people say Allah means God. We say Elohim means God. These two things look different. Okay. Still all the same though. Watch this. Now in ancient Hebrew you would say Allahim. Allahim is Elohim, because ancient Hebrew it had only A's. So once again, Yasha'al, only A's. You see it. The name Yahuwah, a U is actually a Vav, because the U and V are interchangeable. But long story short, Allahim. Oh, I don't put an I here. Allahim. Notice that Allah comes back into the name Elohim when you go back to the ancient Hebrew, right? So, we got a problem. But the thing is, this Eem, we don't have a problem. We got truth coming forth, actually. This Eem means it's plural. It means gods. Okay? How is this so? Let me give you an example. Alright? Tamid is a male disciple. A Tamidah, just like amigo, amiga, is a female disciple. But a Tamidiums is many disciples. So this Eem represents a plural aspect of it, more than one. So when we say Elohim, we're actually saying gods, okay? Because if you go to Psalms 82 in the Bible and you look at where it says, I said ye are gods, it says Elohim right there, okay? So sometimes when they translate it, they don't put, they might have in the Hebrew Elohim, and they'll translate and put God, and then they have Elohim and they put gods. But Elohim is actually plural. So if in ancient Hebrew, Elohim, and you got these people saying Allah means God, singular, and in ancient Hebrew, Elohim, which is plural, means gods. We done went from God to Elohim, Allahim, which is plural. We make it singular, bam, Allah. Okay, right? You see what I'm saying? Now, someone will be saying, well, if you take off this, because look, the language gets all, people start doing a lot of trickery, right? All right, you take off the Eem, right? You still left with a Vav right here, though. That don't spell Allah, you know what I'm saying? That spells Alua. You know what I'm saying? It would actually have to be, they'll tell you A-L, Alua H. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll see in the modern Hebrew have E-L-O-A-H, right? That's how you spell it. It can't be a lie, they'll say, right? But y'all don't do that with Moses though, but we're gonna get that to them. We're gonna get to that though. Alright? So the thing is that if you go in Genesis 1:1, right? Bereshit bara Elohim Aleph Tav Hashemayim Ve Aleph Tav Haaretz. When you read Elohim right there in the Hebrew, notice that when they write Elohim, there is no Vav in there at all. It looks like this. The Vav gets taken out, and one little dot right there represents the O. Okay? So that Vav gets taken out. So if this represents Elohim, then if I take the Im off, and then in Hebrew, like with Moses, you'll see the Mem, Shin, Hey. A lot of times in Hebrew, the base letters is normally 3, no more than 4 letters. The base is just always 3 or 4 letters. You know what I'm saying? So, if possible. So the thing is that if I erase it like that, and I look at this, and I take away their vowel point system, then you're left with actually Allah. And Allah is actually in the Bible. It actually, if you go into Hebrew, it means oath. It means to ascend. You know, it actually, Emmanuel, the L aspect in Emmanuel, is actually derives from the word Allah. You know what I'm saying? Which represents God, God with us, okay? So, the thing is that this actually, the Aleph is silent, vowel point A, bam, Lamed, L, vowel point A, and then He, okay? Now in Hebrew, we also know that if something is written twice, you'll see sometimes they'll do like this or something like that if it's 2 L's, okay? To let you know in the modern Hebrew. But the thing is, if it's 2 L's, you don't have to write 2 lamets in order to have the 2 L's. So Allah can still be written like this, okay? But this derives from the word Elohim, and Im is plural, so to make it singular, there you go, Allah, okay? But someone will still tell you that when I say God, it's not saying the same thing as someone that says Allah, okay? But then on top of that too, let's say somebody's a 5%er. Hey, arm, leg, arm, head, you know what I'm saying? Arm, leg, arm, head, you know what I'm saying? And we are created in His image, and we know that Emmanuel came as God in the flesh, and ye are God. So, you know, you are arm, leg, arm, head. You know what I'm saying? Just like Emmanuel. But hopefully you just understood what I just said. But the reality is that, you know what I'm saying, ye are gods. You know what I'm saying? Arm, leg, arm, head, the 5 points of prayer. You know what I'm saying? But someone would tell you that these two are not the same. You're not talking about the same, but we can go to this Hebrew and see the same. But when it's translated out, it's looking like it's not the same. And people are using dialect to separate people. You know what I'm saying? Cause wars and cause division. Alright? But ye, you know not what you worship. For salvation is of the Jews. But that don't mean that salvation is of the Jews in the sense of far as the nation. Salvation was of the Jews. We're talking about one man. You know what I'm saying? And if you believe in Him, then you're considered a son of Abraham. You know what I'm saying? And you believe He died for your sins. Okay? So, bam. We can see that Allah is right there in the Hebrew. Okay? Now let's look at Moses. We know Moses has an O. Right? Musa. And maybe this will be the last one. Moshe. Alright? These are two different things, but they're the same thing in Hebrew, okay? Alright? Once again, you see a dot right there. They put a little dot right there. So the Mem, little dot represents the O, but just like in the word Elohim, the Vav gets taken out, but they're telling you there's an O right there. So the Vav would be possibly right there, which the U and the V are interchangeable in the 1611 King James Bible. Upon is spelled with a U, have is spelled with a U, and upon is spelled with a V. So even though it normally would be an O right there, you actually can have a U right there. Sheen, S-H, vowel point, they have a Moshe with an E, but vowel points in ancient Hebrew were actually A's, and then you got an H. Now Musa, Mem, the U, remember that little dot where it write an O, but it could be a U. Then you got a Sheen, dot over here is SH, but if the dot was over here, it would be an S. So it's very well possible that it could be an S. Then you have a vowel point A, which they say Moshe with an E, but vowel's supposed to be A's. Bam, Musa, bam, and the only thing that's missing is this. But you can see various examples in the Hebrew where the H doesn't necessarily get written on all letters. Sometimes it gets left off. So we got all kinds of wars going on, you know what I'm saying, over dialect, over, hey, your way of worshiping ain't the same as mine, and yours is different. And because my people suffer a lack of knowledge, they can't see Musa and Moshe is actually spelt the same. And if you get past the historical dialects and people who change things over time, then you actually realize that if you go back and study what you say you believe in, if you study the Bible and past just what you're reading, but study the land, language, and culture of the LLC of it, you know what I'm saying? Then you'll realize that you're speaking the same thing. You actually will realize, hold up, it might actually be Musa, the correct name for Moses, or Musha, you know what I'm saying? Even too, somebody else might say Masha, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to correct them about that either. But at the end of the day, are we walking in love? That's what it really comes down to. Because just like I showed you all these different things, you know what I'm saying? Just because you don't understand something does not mean that it's not of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? The same spirit that worked in Pharaoh is the same spirit that worked in Moses. The same spirit that worked in Peter is the same spirit that worked in Paul. Though Peter was for the circumcised and Paul was for the uncircumcised, still they even got in arguments with one another. But the reality is that they were called to go two different directions. But still, the spirit was of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that we had this thing called the Tower of Babel where language got confused. But once again, I could write Issa, Isha, Yazoo, Yasha, and show you how all those names come back to one. You understand what I'm saying? So even I see some of the Jews, they start lying about the word Muslim in the Bible, and the evidence that's in the Bible, once again, that vowel point system and the way it's written, they start dancing around the subject, you know what I'm saying? But this was just a quick video to show you how a lot of things are tied together. And I'm going to put something else together that thoroughly explains to people, showing you as many examples that we separate ourselves that are all the same. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to this. Every knee shall bow, and are you walking in love? Love thy neighbor as thyself, and love the Father with all thy heart. Hopefully you learned something from this. Walk by faith and not by sight. Bring people to Christ. Christ means Messiah, Mashiach, okay? Anointed one, all right? Bring people to Christ. Have them accept them in their heart. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11 through 14. And Romans chapter 10, verse 6 through 9. And make sure that they're seeking the kingdom of heaven first. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. And be patient, humble, walk in meekness, be forgiven 70 times 7. Because there is a lot of things that we need forgiveness for that is happening on this earth. And trust and believe as an ambassador, a messenger, and knowing a lot of things that I know, not on a book level, but on an experience one-on-one with the Most High, He's not happy. That's a direct message. He's not happy. Clean up. I'm not even talking from a book sense. I'm not talking from a religion sense. I got no congregation that I associate to. Clean up. Quick. That's all I can say. Clean up. Lay your theological wisdom aside and use some practical wisdom. If the Most High tells you clean up and leave all this bickering stuff alone and stop persecuting people, just like he had to stop Paul, I will listen. To obey is better. It's better to obey, right? Because if you don't obey, then you going in a spirit of witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? And that's in 1 Samuel. Obey, clean up, lay all your bickering, all this stuff, this religion, world stuff aside. You this, you that. You sound like the same thing you persecute, like gangs, Bloods, and Crips, and all of that. Y'all just banging on a spiritual, religious level, which is actually very dangerous and may be more deathly consequences than someone that doesn't know any better and just a victim of circumstances. Clean up. Got the word. Shalom.